Metzger, yeah, here. Cindy Wu, not here. John Salidos is excused. And Maria Fisk is here. All right. Our first item is public comment on non-agendized items.
Just have one.
Yes.
I don't know how it happened that the agenda didn't get up within the 72 hours on the website or night, but I'm sure it got submitted, but maybe you can check with Aaron and find out why it didn't get posted.
Let me clarify that. I've been attending the bank meetings. We are severely, Empower LA is severely understaffed. I don't know what's going on. I'm have a conversation with Gracie Lou. We actually, the neighborhood council might have to sue the city of Los Angeles because they're not doing their fiduciary responsibility. Because if the reason it takes so long for anything to get done, we're losing staff. They're transferring out of done to other departments.
Okay,
I don't know why, but that's what I
Aaron,
understand.
let's let him finish.
I understand, you know, the issues it done, and I fully support the position of, you know, what's going on. But the point is the agenda for this meeting needs to go on the neighborhood council website, which Mr. Devandry is responsible for posting, not done. So I'm merely asking you to check in with Mr. Devandry and ask him why the agenda didn't get posted within the 72-hour period.
I'll check.
That's all I'm asking.
Yeah.
You know, I'm
I'll
sure you
check.
guys probably submitted it, but why he didn't get it up, I don't know. I'm just a little
I
concerned.
forwarded it to him at the same time I forwarded it to the NC support. I'll ask him, but my sense is there's been a number of times where we've, and I checked after you mentioned it, I checked and I didn't see it on my computer, and then I hit the Control F5 refresh and it popped up.
Mhm.
And I asked Aaron, is there something we can do about this so that it shows up when you post it? And he's like, it's the browser cache and depends the last time. And it, you know, I mean, I'm in the IT business, so I understand the tech speak, but it's like, this is a lot to ask somebody to do, to just see it. But he's like, well, you know, it's the way WordPress works. So, but I'll ask him again.
Okay, thank you.
But I do know a lot of neighborhood councils have been complaining about their agendas being posted on time, about other services that we're supposed to be receiving. And it is literally a situation where we just don't have enough staff. And that is, to me, the city council's fault.
That's
Because they're not.
it's another
providing-
topic.
Yeah, well,
It's another topic.
We'll do what we can to make sure it's done timely. Any other public comment, non-agendized items? Okay, so that takes us straight to the cell tower. You're here from the church, right?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I forgot your name.
My name is Herman Schudeli.
Herman, good to see you. Okay, so we've taken this up before, and I guess, who wants to take the lead on this one to give us an update? Sarah?
I'll start with
Okay.
Are you from the city?
I am from Synergy.
Oh,
I
you're
work
from
with
city.
Wally.
Oh, you work with Wally.
Yeah,
So
Wally
this is
is-
Sarah
Wally
Free.
is-
I know.
Wally was sick.
He's sick, and my pastor, Pastor Haney, he
Yes.
asked me to excuse because there was a last minute change
these are-
at
Are these something new?
Yeah.
a meeting
They
at
have to be
church
ready.
that he had to, so he asked,
95% this
so
is-
that's
Oh,
why
okay.
I'm here. I would have been here anyway.
The wall is-
Yeah, I understand they were gonna work on that wall.
Okay, so, sorry they're stapled a little funky, they're not stapled on the right sides. So, what has changed for this site is, we moved, there have been previous discussions about moving the location and doing updates. These are the most updated plans, as you can see, they're dated 11/20, but we've made various minor alterations as more recent as last Wednesday. So, what we basically did is instead of the pole being towards the rear of the property to the west, we moved it more towards the street front. So if you'll look on sheet A1, which is where your site plan is, you've got this is the site plan for the property. We were going to put our site back here, or back here rather, by the existing pole, and now we're moving it over towards Woodland. So it's gonna be really far away from that other one, farther away from the residents. Other things we changed, the equipment area is also going over there, and we'll be surrounded by the block wall. And if you'll notice on the upper left-hand corner, the northwest corner of the property, we call out the CMU wall, the block wall that we're going to be installing right here where there's currently a chain link fence. So it'll kind of block the visibility of that part of the church. Those are the major changes we made. The photo sims just reflect that, so they look strikingly similar to the old ones. They're just moved over, so instead of right next to the other monopine, they're closer to the front.
How tall is this wall?
The wall, I believe, is gonna be 8 feet.
6 feet.
6 feet.
6 feet.
6 feet, okay, sorry.
The wall around the enclosure is 8 feet. The wall on the
That's
corner
right.
of Swinton and
Thank you.
Hiawatha is 6 foot.
I'm not used to sites with 2 different CMU walls, so forgive me.
So it's easier to see on this, oh, I see A1,
Yeah.
Okay.
A1 is the site plan, and when they record the conditions for this appeal, they're going to, they always record the site plan and an elevation at minimum. So if for some reason something were to be built wrong or something goes wrong in the future, it's recorded in the conditions and in the plans. We did submit copies of these plans and these photo sims to the Area Planning Commission. However, I made a slight mistake and took the revision right before this one. So the one we submitted to them does not have that additional 6-foot CMU wall. But because it's already past the 10-day period before the hearing, we got permission to submit it at the time of the hearing. So the CMU block wall will be in there, but the APC has not received it yet.
And what if they oppose that at the hearing? I mean, because it's against public property. I know there's engineering and permits involved in putting a block wall on public.
We're actually putting it on the church property.
Correct, but you need the permits and the engineering because it abuts public property. So what
Well-
if they oppose it for some reason?
The the Area Planning Commission doesn't rule based on whether it'll work with BOE. That'll be determined down, if the commission approves it, if the APC approves it, and then whoever's doing the actual building permit goes to BOE and goes to the right-of-way office and they say you can't do this, then it would be against the conditions and they wouldn't be able to build the site.
Because that
They have to submit
Like, okay.
what is it, a plan approval? After that, they have to come back and say, okay, well, here's the modification we're gonna make to that wall.
And there would be extensive permitting done on the right-of-way side of street services. If, just FYI, if the site were to be built, if you see it going up for some reason and there's no block wall by the end of construction, you tell the city it violates their conditions and they're required to tear it down within 90 days. No matter what the cost is, that's why we make sure that we're gonna make sure, and we'll definitely want the full board to mention it in the letter that they write, that this wall needs to be there or it's no good.
Do you have an idea of an ETA on when the wall's gonna be built?
It'll be built during construction, exactly when, we're not sure, but it's gonna take about if there's nothing wrong with BOE and street services, it'll take about 2 to 3 months to get all the permits that they need.
Okay.
And then construction usually takes about a week.
So we're looking at spring?
Yes,
March?
we're looking at mid to late spring
for the complete project or just the block wall?
for the complete project. They will be doing the block wall at the same time as they do the block wall further in where the equipment is.
So it's pretty clear to me on A1 that I see where the block wall is going, attaching
Yes.
to the existing wall.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other, and on A3, I don't know if I'm just looking at it incorrectly, is it expressed here or not? In other words, where else on that other view do I see the block wall?
Okay, let me, I don't think you're gonna see it here, let me just double check.
Should be on north or the west, wouldn't it?
Right.
But the west
So the
location doesn't
reason
go
that you're not
far
seeing
over.
it, if you'll look, just bear with me, but if you'll look back, I can see about what we can do to add it. If you look back at A1, any view that you're seeing of the elevations is from just past the equipment area, including the T-Mobile space. It cuts off about here, so you're not actually seeing that wall addition.
So,
So they made sure to show the existing building, the proposed monopine, and the existing equipment for T-Mobile back here,
right.
but they didn't extend it all the way over. I will write it down and ask what we can do to get that included, because that would be good to see.
Yeah.
By,
It
I can
does-
see what we can do to get it added.
It
I don't
does-
know if it'll happen by tomorrow.
Yeah, sure, if you're on A1, I'm seeing a 6-foot, 0 high CMU wall, and it looks like it starts next to the existing concrete wall that's there.
Right.
Comes around, cuts around at the same angle, kind of where the chain link fence currently is, and then finishes back up and attaches back to that wall that's there,
Correct.
right? All 6 feet.
Yes.
So, okay, great. So,
CMU means,
Concrete masonry.
Thank you.
What was
concrete
that?
masonry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
concrete masonry unit?
Yeah.
I think it's-
Okay,
Concrete
All right.
masonry.
You know, quite often you can go and check with the city because having did some work in construction, generally by the permit, process, you have to do one thing and then they approve that, then they move on to the next thing. And you can't skip one thing to do another, so
Yeah, yeah.
you can talk to the city, and ask them what is their process as far as what has to be done in what order.
Who's putting up the wall?
Verizon.
Verizon.
Verizon is
Verizon.
paying for, Verizon is paying for the wall, and whatever contractor they hire to build the site with that CMU wall that they're gonna put with the equipment is gonna do that same wall.
oh,
So it's just gonna be,
that's fine.
So,
Yeah.
That's just the gray, what are they, 6x8 blocks?
I was just
Yeah.
gonna ask, is there any description about the wall? The wall? In other words, is it just a concrete block, tan concrete block wall or
Well,
plastic masonry?
unless the church or somebody else comes along and says, it has to be this color.
No.
Other than that, yeah, they,
Well, it should match, I would say it should
It
match.
says to
the-
match on the
Yeah,
plan.
yeah.
And I think on,
isn't it existing, like it's that tan colored
Yeah, it's a
stone,
Yeah.
right?
yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
great.
yeah.
I haven't been to the property in a while.
Why is it say tree to be removed that is nowhere in any construction or easement or utility or
I saw that, yeah.
why are we
They wanted-
removing
Ah.
trees?
No,
because-
these trees, they would have been removed if it would have been, built there. But
So-
since it's not being built here,
We're not gonna remove it.
they are
So
not
they
removing,
should-
it's probably that tree to be removed should have gone away.
I'm gonna
Should
call
have been
that a
deleted.
silly oversight.
Okay, and then the utility pole that it looks like it's going between the stand of existing cypress trees?
Utility pole, telephone.
What kind of utility pole?
That's what I wanna know.
Oh,
Is
well,
that existing?
yeah, that's probably an existing one
Okay.
right now.
Where are you looking,
There.
sorry?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Because
anything
you're
we're calling.
running, you're running to it, so I didn't know if
Right.
that's.
Anything over here, the E means existing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anything that says E in front of it, we're not touching, it's already there.
Oh,
And that
yeah.
means that's probably where T-Mobile is connecting, so we're going to the same place for
Okay.
power. We have a
They're gonna run
question
it-
over
gonna
there
run
for
it
a while.
underground then.
Sir,
Sorry, I would like to know what CMU stands for.
Concrete
concrete
masonry.
masonry.
Okay, thank you.
It's
It's a
cinder
fancy-
blocks.
I was asking
It's-
the same question,
it's
so
cinder
we
blocks
probably
is what
didn't
it
hear
is.
it.
Well, it's one of my pet peeves, you know, when people use acronyms and don't tell us what they mean.
Yeah, yeah.
Can I tell you, I've
Same
been
for
in the
me.
wireless business for about 8 months. When I started this, no clue what half the words in any of these plans meant.
Well,
You
I
had
made
to
them
learn
put some of
fast.
them
well,
in
that's an
plain English.
indication that you probably should make sure you explain these things
Well, you know
better.
what happens though is that you write everything out and then they have to type up, they get really annoyed when they have to type everything up in their staff reports. They've actually requested that you shorten, they request that we shorten words, which is really annoying.
So concrete
Masonry.
masonry unit.
AKA cinder block of the tan veracity.
in this case. Now, is there a description somewhere in detail of the camouflage for the pole, for the monopine itself?
In detail, other than it's a monopine to be,
Well, you got A2, it's got something here.
Oh, yeah.
Right there.
Isn't it in
Oh.
A4?
Yeah.
Right here.
Oh, okay, good. This is actually what I was looking for, is that all the panel antennas are covered with an RF antenna sock materials. That's what I was looking for with the
Right.
socks.
oh, we don't usually put those on the plans because they're not a required element, but those go in, like they're in the original approval before the appeal, has those in there.
Okay.
And that's something that we are going to, the original conditions will apply to whatever the area planning commission determines,
Okay. And so those go a long way towards making the site
definitely.
less conspicuous.
Can we
Yes.
include a photograph of a broadleaf tree pole, so we could see one somewhere? Or can we
Oh,
do
the
it-
proposed broadleaf tree?
Yeah,
I
so.
think it looks, you can see it on view 1 on that thing, right,
No,
right
I mean
there,
the
they
actual-
kinda,
Uh,
put a,
You know, the best, if you do want to see one live, so to speak, if you go to.
Seltzer?
Yeah, if you go to.
Seltzer down on Plummer, or,
Well,
right there
there's a
is.
better example
a
at
better
De
one?
La Salle, on what is it, San Fernando Mission and
Oh,
Havenhurst, or
and-
what-
and
is it
Del-
Woodley or Havenhurst?
There was some, yeah, that's Havenhurst and
Yeah,
Chatsworth.
if you go to De La Salle, on the northeast corner, and it's along Havenhurst, right? If you look to the right, and you know, I drove by it and I missed it when I was looking for it. You'll see an example, and it's actually, I think, the best example because it's one that Synergy put up several years ago, so I would imagine it's gonna be pretty close
Maybe the same, huh?
in its appearance.
Mhm.
Okay, so this is the existing one, right, so it says E, oh, so the existing one is the broad tree, the proposed one is called a high monopine.
It's the 45 foot
45
high
foot, yeah.
monopine, which is a monopole that's
Oh, 45
disguised to
foot
look like a pine
high.
pole. So pine tree monopine.
So, comment that I had from Hannah, something to watch out for, and this is really for the church. I saw the
Yes.
letter that you had,
Yeah,
with the list of things you're gonna abide by for the community, and thank you very much. It's great that you guys got this all worked out, and I
Yep.
think very favorably. It's a nice change to get this over here and the wall in. But one of them was that you wouldn't locate any more sites, and I assume that would mean co-location as well on this tower, because that would raise it up.
yeah.
You need to look very closely at your lease,
Mhm.
because your lease could potentially have a right of the lessor to add to the pole.
Yeah, I know
Yeah.
that,
Okay,
we are aware of that.
I'm also writing down for us to check the lease to make sure that.
okay, does the lease,
Oh, great.
does the
We,
lease permit
we
them to
already
add to it?
looked at the lease, and although the option is there, we already said that in that letter. I can tell you, we're not gonna do anything.
All right, but if they, well,
that's-
guess what I'm getting at is if the option is there that they are allowed to exercise, then you wouldn't be able to stop them from putting.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Coca-Cola
I mean, that's a good point, and although our lawyer looked at it, and we probably have to look at when we sign, or actually, do you know?
Yeah, sorry,
Oh,
go ahead.
sorry, I was gonna make a comment to
Yeah.
that actually. In order for anybody to co-locate on this pole, just a general info thing, because of the height limit for that parcel, they would actually have to apply for their own approval in order to get the extra 15.
They would, but the approval is compulsory, so.
Yes,
it
but they
would go
still have
through.
to go through everything and
Wally
get their
expressed to
approval.
us that it's almost automatic, he makes it, it's almost
Yeah.
a given that.
If you
we're
have
not gonna
landlord
make
consent.
co-locate.
Right, so I just wanna make sure that the church has the say, so
Right.
that you can tell somebody, if Sprint or whoever comes along and
Mhm.
wants to
Well-
co-locate, they can't just say, hey, we've already got the option, we're putting it up, thank you very much.
Well,
We're done.
speaking on behalf of the neighborhood, which rests on Laura and myself tonight, we'd like to know that before going to the appeals, before going further, because we have came to this understanding collectively with the church that this is where it stops.
And that's
Yeah.
what we shared
And
with the
if
neighborhood.
something was signed,
I don't think has the lease been signed yet.
No,
No,
Okay,
Has
so
been signed.
is Verizon willing to put a rider on there that gives the church right of refusal on?
you know what, I think there is language in there for the right of refusal. Whether it extends to exactly
Okay, but
that,
that's
I don't know.
thinking, but-
we're gonna approach our stance at the appeals hearing based on whether we all have come to an agreement here, all the parties included. And if there is something that's being added after we come to our agreement here, then we will oppose the whole thing.
Well,
Of course, yeah.
I mean, the promise you've got here is from the church that they won't do it, and really my message is mainly to them to make sure that they haven't gotten themselves in a fix inadvertently where they can't come through on the promise.
another thing we can do, and we will do, I wrote it down, what we'll do is we'll request a condition be added to the approval that no co-location will be allowed
Oh,
at any point in time in the
I don't know
future.
I don't know they'll put that in the condition.
If we request it and you request, if the applicant requests it,
yeah, that's
I've
right.
seen it happen before, there are
Okay,
conditions.
I wouldn't count on it though.
There are
because they-
conditions in West LA, I don't know about the Valley,
Yeah.
but I've seen ones in my neighborhood where they make sure you put a condition
It
that
doesn't
says
hurt to
that.
put it in there.
Yeah,
It doesn't hurt to put it in, but I'm,
You mean in the lease?
no, in
In the
the
conditions of
condition,
approval.
in the
Oh,
conditional use
conditional
permit, but
approval.
my guess is that would come down to whoever the co-locator is coming in and saying, well, the FCC says that we can do this, that overrides your land use authority, therefore we can't.
Who writes the lease? The
But
terms, does Synergy facilitate that, or does Verizon?
Synergy facilitates the lease terms.
So how quickly could someone research that and let us know?
In a perfect world, I can get them to review it by Friday, but most definitely by the hearing. And if we can get it before the hearing, I already wrote it down. If we
When
can
is
get
the
it
hearing?
That'll be two.
next Thursday, a
Next-
week from tomorrow,
A week from tomorrow.
4:30?
Is tomorrow also a meeting on this?
The general board meeting.
Tomorrow.
yeah,
A
so-
general board
Yeah,
meeting is
we'll make
here.
we'll make the official vote on this here,
Right,
but
right.
we'll have everything worked out, and it should, unless something new has come up, should just
When is the hearing?
go.
A week from tomorrow,
Week from
4:30 PM.
And is it where? In downtown Granada?
Yeah.
We still don't make a decision, no.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So let me understand this, so
Yes.
we can all agree here that we don't wanna co-locate another tower.
Well, I
on
thought
top.
we just did,
And
but
right,
it's gotta be in
and they
writing.
can write it in, and you can even write it in the condition of approval that says no co-location. I don't know
Yeah,
what the word is.
that's right.
However, it sounds like those people still, even with that, with the FCC behind them, have the power to override that.
They
That's what I'm
they,
hearing.
they may,
They
and
may.
it comes down to if the church has the right to approve any co-location, then they can say no.
Okay, so do we know if
We just
the
need to make
church
sure they
has
have
the-
that right.
So we need to know if the church has the right, and how would we know that?
Well, you have to check with their lawyer.
What
Well,
we're gonna
yeah.
do,
They're gonna tell you that they have the right, basically.
if we go through at this point in time and all we have is that letter, then it's just a piece of paper.
Yeah.
Whether it's recorded or not, doesn't matter. You can't record something like that, it's just a piece of paper. So, in answer to your question, what we're gonna do is, you're going to confirm that, I mean, your legal people have already reviewed it. I'm gonna have Brian, who's our legal person in our office, go through, either Brian or Mike, go through the conditions on the lease. See if there's anything that calls out anything about co-location, and if there isn't, we're gonna look about amending it. Now, getting it to Verizon, for them to okay it, is a whole nother story, cause they take a while. However, they usually do what's best, what we think is best. So if they deem it's best, and we won't know by tomorrow night, we'll know by the hearing.
So basically what you are now claiming or what you want an additional assurance that there is a clear cut, no co-location?
Well, we have that
Well,
in the letter from
We
the
have
church.
you have it in
Yeah.
the letter, so what else do
Well,
we?
Because
they're
if
explaining
you-
to us that that letter alone will keep it from happening.
If the language is in the lease that the
Yeah.
church is gonna sign,
Well,
that overrides a letter of intent.
let me back up, because it's not about double checking, cross checking it, it's about making sure that you didn't, in all the complicated language of the lease, didn't inadvertently overlook, to have the ability to stop a co-location, because when it comes up,
Yeah.
you yourselves may, or whoever is owning the property at the time, may not want it. It's just a good,
No, we
clause to
have
in
no
there.
intent. I mean, the church at the moment has no intent to do a co-location.
Yeah, just make sure you didn't inadvertently get,
Yeah.
the standard form contract, right, that has the language in there that says we can make up to a 20% enlargement of the and.
No one's suggesting that the church is gonna change their stance.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
just concerned that if a lease was put before whoever, and it wasn't looked at with an eye towards the language that may override your
Yeah, you
wants
may have that
versus what their
intent.
legal rights are.
Mhm.
Yeah, you may have that intent, but we're just saying, make sure that they know what your intent is and not say, oh, God, we're
Yeah,
sorry,
but-
we just gave you our
Right.
standard contract.
But my question here is now, are you saying you need some more written assurance for that, or what do you
Well,
really
what I'm asking
want
is,
now?
what's the most secure way we can move forward?
They don't want
with
another
covering
letter,
ourselves?
they just want us to make sure that there's nothing in the lease that would
Yeah.
allow.
Yeah, but what that means is, when you make sure, are you sending something, out officially again, or is that being said at the
I'm
hearing, or?
assuming you'll email
If we
me.
catch anything
Yeah,
that looks like it could be controversial to this discussion,
okay.
we would send an official lease amendment to you, a revised lease to you
okay.
guys for your legal
Yeah,
people
let's-
to
Okay.
review.
Let
No,
me
that makes
clarify,
sense.
because
That makes sense, yeah.
The lease is between you and the church.
Mhm.
It has nothing to do with us, and it's not for you guys to review.
Correct.
It's
Right.
their business, but
Right.
they've made a promise, and we'll take that at its value. They made a promise. So this is really just about, did you inadvertently, or is there language in there that could put you in a position where you wouldn't be able to keep the promise you made,
It's
even
just
though you
so
want to?
Right, I hear you, no,
So
it's
that's
That's
clear.
just something you can,
Yeah.
tell ask your lawyer, hey, look out for
Yeah,
this,
yeah.
that's it.
No,
You know,
that's clear.
And you do want to keep flexibility,
Here you go.
because as
It's
bad as
there.
this co-locations are, you don't
It's
want
not-
it right
I know,
now.
I left my.
20 years from now,
No problem.
Okay.
you or a subsequent owner of the property or something, other conditions could come up. I mean, we could be so electronic and everything, there'd be new rules by the FCC that say they can hang a blimp over the area to broadcast the signal down. And you're like, well, wait, you know what? We'd rather you put
Right.
the antenna on there. So keep it available as an option that everybody can agree on in the future.
Right.
And you mentioned me emailing you. If I don't email you before the hearing, it's because I don't have an answer yet.
Okay.
If there's like no email in your inbox on Wednesday, that means it's likely that we're reviewing it Wednesday or Thursday.
Alright.
But I will do my best to get as good of an answer as I can by Thursday.
And I would say that the church has made a promise, so unless they come back to you and say, actually, we can't make that promise, which would change everything,
Right.
then
The
it's,
appellant, Jill,
Yeah.
is not here, and she's reasonable, but she's pretty hardline about it.
She'll
And
want
if something
evidence.
is, not to her liking, it's within her right to
Right.
proceed how she wants.
She was my
What we're
high school
trying to
teacher. I
do-
knew her. She taught at Kennedy when I was a student.
Small world,
I know,
huh?
right?
wow.
Well, it's funny, she showed up to
Small
the original hearing as the appellant, and I was looking at her, I'm like, I know her. Anyways, sorry, go on.
No, I'm just saying, so, what
You
we're
are
trying to
doing
do
great.
is work with
Yeah.
all the parties,
Mhm.
because first and foremost, and we might as well address the committee, as a neighborhood, we don't want a cell tower there, we don't want another one. However, with the reality of they're gonna keep coming until someone gets something, we're rolling the dice here and trying to go along with concessions that will serve everyone's needs.
And we
The
appreciate
church
it.
gets income, Synergy gets, Verizon gets expanded service. We're getting the wall blocking the view of the new construction, so we're trying to be reasonable and work, we're not saying no.
And that's why I don't think it's, I mean, asking for no future co-location on a property that already has 3, or will have 3, whatever. It's not unreasonable, and I didn't think about the lease thing until you guys mentioned it, but it makes sense.
So-
It makes total sense.
Yeah.
Good point.
It's really a matter.
And I don't know when the last time we looked at the lease was, so.
Make sure we don't,
This is my first foray into any of this kind of stuff.
Me too,
I
my
don't
first
want it
appeal
to-
ever.
I don't want it
So
to,
excited.
where stuff like where you say we inadvertently left this or that was, should have been.
Right.
Then you go and find out after the fact that all that stuff that didn't seem like a big deal at the time is what cost you the view of your neighborhood or the
Yeah.
equipment or.
Well, that's why we always like to have so many sets of eyes look at things. I mean, there are things like there's a tree we're proposing to remove in there, but it shouldn't be there anymore. Oftentimes, in this business, we tend to look at the bigger picture and we don't look at the details. So that's why we like to, I mean,
Lois
while,
was a recipient of that at her house. A tree was slated for removal and they showed up in front of her house and took down an 80-foot ash tree by accident. They found out they took down the wrong tree. And then they replaced it with a little, they
that's
didn't even replace it,
horrible.
right? They paved over it and put another 10-foot tall tree next to it.
yeah. Well, so we've got to develop a position to take on this, so, the agreement as it's all written out and understood right now is acceptable to the neighborhood, and the church is good with it, and Synergy's good with it.
Good with it until it's obsolete.
I've got my socks.
You've got your
So the-
socks.
The.
I wrote down your socks, I'm gonna
the-
see if we
it's
can add
gonna-
that too.
It's gonna look
over in
good,
there.
so I would propose that we support the proposal, and I throw the date on here, 11/20/14, as of 11/20/14,
What are your
for resolution.
options? I know there's a no opposition, there's a support, there's a.
And there's a,
I usually,
no,
myself, I don't know about Jerry and Maria, I usually go with no opposition
That's
to
what-
the agreement, because I'm not always comfortable in supporting something, but I'm very
That sets a
strongly is no
precedence.
opposition to the proposal that is in the agreement reached by the neighborhood, the stakeholders, the church, and Synergy.
We're not asking for anything else, they got it worked out,
Yeah,
so.
Exactly.
yeah, so we have no
A
opposition
no opposition would be,
To their,
to their,
To the
to the
to
agreement.
their agreement.
Yeah,
Is
the
that
the
how we wanna word
resolution,
that?
and the
Yeah.
resolution as proposed, per the plans dated 11/20/14.
Yes.
And
if
so
it's a
that,
no opposition.
that essentially, that's,
Good with
you,
that.
you guys go to the meeting and we're not gonna
Oppose
throw our
anything
2
that you
cents
guys
in
have agreed
because,
to, yes,
Okay.
because it looks like everybody got everything
they
worked out.
want it, yeah.
Is that agreeable
That's,
to you?
that is amenable to us, yeah.
Okay, so that is the motion, do I have a second?
Second.
It's gotta be you or
Yeah.
you. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. This, just as a comment, I'll say this was really an excellent process. You guys did a fantastic job going through this and getting everything worked out. It was the most
Thank you.
thorough piece of work I've seen with, and I've said this before, Synergy has been, I mean, we'd rather have no cell towers,
Yeah,
but the fact is, we got them, and Synergy's been a great partner in getting stuff worked out that work better for the neighborhood. We've had companies come in here that said, we got the right to put up this tower, the FCC says we're gonna do it, this is the minimum we have to do, and that's what we're gonna do. And, you know, Synergy's been a wonderful partner in helping come to agreements like this. You guys have been fantastic, and the church, and working with the community, thank you.
Mhm.
I like that.
Thank
Thank
you
you
guys.
for being here.
And we
Yes,
didn't do
thank
much.
you.
Yeah.
thank you for working with us though,
Yeah.
and letting us come to so many, I mean, there have been a lot of meetings,
Yeah.
neighborhood meetings.
That's what we're
for this.
here
So we'll see you again
Yeah.
on the other item,
Yeah.
which is being postponed, so
Yeah.
we'll see you on the 28th on
I
that.
didn't wanna do both of those at the
Yeah.
same time.
Oh, is that the,
one's a
is that the
weird-
reason why that got postponed?
Yeah,
That
they're
was-
not,
okay.
no, they're not
Well-
ready yet.
Are they not ready?
We're not ready yet,
Oh,
so
okay.
that other one
Mhm.
is, I forget the name of it, but it's in the CDO. So, it's in one of the community design overlay districts,
Oh,
so they're
You mean
still
the
reviewing
specific
it.
plan?
plan area.
Specific planning?
It's in the specific plan area.
It is in the specific plan area,
Yeah.
because we don't have a CDO.
You don't?
Okay, yeah, I think,
Specific
Whatever,
if
okay.
you have some
Yeah.
Will you
questions.
keep this?
You can.
What is your, need from us tomorrow for the Granada Hills Council? I know that we're on the agenda for old,
You're welcome to show up, we'll have food.
Yep.
Um,
You can state your,
And
Is
if you'd like to make any comments on it, I mean, other than that,
Yeah.
How
I
do-
can't imagine anything's gonna be controversial unless somebody calls us and says,
Yeah.
So how do
but
we?
I wouldn't mind if one of you guys showed up and said, you know, this is the plan that we agreed to, your stakeholders, your church, your synergy, and, you know, cause if everybody says, hey, I'm fine, we have no stake to go out there
yeah,
and
but
meddle in your
it's optional, I
business.
mean, you don't need to come up from West LA but if you're
But if you-
looking for something to do
But the
at
board
6:30 at night,
may take a different vote.
I
doubt it,
You
but
never,
they,
you never know.
know, but what
What
the
I
heck,
was
what are they
gonna
gonna do?
Well,
What I was
okay.
gonna say is, I would suggest one of you come, not, you don't necessarily both have to, but what's gonna happen is, I'm gonna get to the office tomorrow, I'm gonna go through all this stuff with Wally and our legal team, and what if I promised something that apparently we can't do because our legal guy's too busy, or, you know, there are all sorts of options, I'm not saying he is, but there are all sorts of things that could happen, and what if we show up and Wally says, well, Sarah said we could do this, but she was wrong and she's stupid, or something like that, and then, cause Wally's gonna be doing the presentation tomorrow night no matter what, even if he's sick.
Well, I think
So-
our position of no opposition to this plan, if this plan changes, then our position
Well-
is invalid,
Yeah.
and you as,
Then
Jill as the appellant,
yeah.
With the,
can,
Okay.
with the
Yeah.
corrections that we discussed,
alright, so we'll be there.
I think it's,
Okay.
contested.
with
It's
the
always
corrections
good.
that we
It's
discussed,
always
there
good
will
as
be
long as your
changes
things
made
go your
before the
way.
year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
Like taking out that tree removal, and there will be some minor changes made, like taking out the tree, and there were a couple of socks and,
well, the sock's already there.
Yeah.
So I think it was just that tree and,
the wall, but I don't want anybody to draw anything from the wall. If that's clear enough on that
Alright.
picture, I'm good with that.
okay.
Yeah.
What did you talk about the socks? Did I miss that?
oh, if you've looked at any of the monopines or any of
Yeah.
the cell tower antennas, they have a triangular
Right,
plane on the top that have the panel antennas
Yeah.
coming down. If they just stick those up there and paint them green, what happens is it looks okay when it first goes up, and then the sun hits it and they fade,
oh.
and then they kind of stand out.
Yes.
And then, you know, the needles tend to fall off and stuff.
Yeah,
Over
yeah.
time, it becomes more apparent. If they put the socks on it, it's a fabric that has looks like pine needles glued to it,
Yeah,
and it goes over to it and it kind of blends in to the
Yeah.
rest of the tree.
no, perfect.
And if they start to fade and become obvious, they pull off the sock and put another one on.
Oh.
It's not having to be repainted like the bare fiberglass would be. So it makes it a lot more likely that you can be able to drag them out there and get them to fix the camouflage.
And remember, this is a high wind area, so
Yeah.
you want something that covers those.
Right.
You know.
If one of the socks fall off, you can use it as a Christmas tree.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Won't have to worry about a fire.
Is the meeting tomorrow over
Tomorrow
there?
night,
Yes,
yeah,
next
next door.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
Starts at 6:30.
Well, we hate to
Thank you all so
meet
much.
and run, but thank you guys. and
All right, nice to
please,
see you
thanks
again.
very much.
Please tell Jill to get well soon, and Wally, hope he feels better soon.
Thank you.
It's not like it's
Yeah.
winter around
You
here.
better feel better tomorrow.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay,
See you again
good to see
No,
here.
moving
You
on.
too. Yeah. You will be there
So our
tomorrow.
next item is
Send our regards to your dad.
I will.
the specific claim
He's a nice
commercial
guy.
district. This
Oh,
was one I carried over from prior meeting.
yeah,
Okay,
and
so do you have any?
this has actually been a real long time in coming with this kind of a thing. Since the community plan is still under revision and we don't have a hearing date soon, we really have some time to look at the specific plan. And we have made some recommendations over the years, but for some reason, I don't think the recommendations have really stuck or been considered. So, being that it's under revision and city planning, I'm sure has some recommendations as well, the design review board, I really think, and we should take a look at the specific plan. Do you all know how to access the specific plan, the Granada Hills one, on the website? You know how to get a copy?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, all right, yeah, so, take a look at our current specific plan, and let's take a look at uses, buffers, heights, height zones, that kind of a thing, because we, as a design review board, are going to take that criteria, and we use it to, approve certain uses. Now, with a specific design review board, we can only do certain things, it's not what you may think. We don't have a whole lot of jurisdiction on pure land use issues like boundary or zone changes or things like that. But we do maybe with the size of the project, with the colors and things like that. And, there was an issue, with the colors that the shopping center got painted.
Yeah,
Well,
they're really dark.
Oh, yeah, I know, but you know what, here's an issue. Those colors are not mandated. Yeah, when we have an applicant come before us, those colors are suggested. So then we say, okay, the colors, but then they go, well, the guy next door painted his building purple. So, we're gonna have an issue. We need to kind of come up with a wise decision, how we're going to do we mandate colors or are they preferred? And each one has its own set of unintended
The thing
consequences.
about it is, when you use language like that,
Well, that's what's in
that
the,
doesn't mean anything.
that's what's in the specific
Yeah.
plan currently.
Yeah.
And that's why we have it, and that's when I called Melina, and she says, we can't mandate it. And then I said, well, we expect it out of our applicants. What about the rest of the community? It's really kind of unfair. So let's all think about, that's just a small piece of the specific plan. There's other conditions in there, like, specific guidelines, how much windows should be showing, that kind of thing, how much can be, obliterated, that kind of a thing. Signs, there's all sorts of conditions, so really, and initially, the most critical thing that came to my attention were some of the uses that attract crime. For example, the massage parlors, that kind of a thing.
Yeah, that was one of the things I was looking at, just before I came here. Those two, things from the state about massage parlors that you sent.
Yeah, we've got that
In
on
fact,
here as a separate item.
I have this one right here,
Yeah, that supersedes,
which was the, KCA 2010-2714, ZAI, and it talks about the massage parlor establishments, and I guess that was based on the state,
now.
that 33-page document you sent.
Did you see that?
Yeah, I was going over that, and it was going,
We
all
have
the way
it.
down, my eyes glazed over.
That was part of the information that was included in the planning notification on the website, and it's a huge document.
Yeah, 33 pages.
So, the long-winded explanation is why we need to be aware of these kind of things if we are going to make comments on uses that attract crime. Now we need to be familiar with the newest, state legislation and control that is effective as of January 2015.
Yeah, I've got to read it over because it's so thick. I only got about a quarter of the way through before I had to stop.
It was rather convoluted.
Yeah, one of the things that I was really concerned about was how far apart we could ask that these businesses
Distancing?
Yeah, because I think that, we have a relatively small business district area and everything, and I was just wondering, because I'd hate to see one right after another, and we have a lot of that really on Chatsworth Street now.
Of any particular use, you probably don't want to see an overconcentration of.
Exactly.
I'm working with the LAPD and Vice, and also our neighborhood prosecutor, just so you all know. Actually, they've already, at our last neighborhood watch meeting, Dario did show me some crime stats and crime or calls for service in regards to the hookah lounges, you know, that
Yeah,
are
again,
especially
yeah.
some in our area, I'm not mentioning which ones, but, you know, they are looking at certain hookah lounges that have created some problems with crime. Same with the massage parlors, you know, Vice is always watching and there's crime associated with that. And, you know, the latest being that Jug incident, you know, with the murder and the gangs and things like that. You know, we kinda need to look at maybe bars as well. You know, how many bars do you want in a commercial district? So, you know what, gentlemen, this is just something I'm throwing out to you. It's not something we need to tackle tonight, but we keep talking about this and I keep bringing this up. And this animal is getting bigger by the minute. So I think probably the best thing to do, okay, because Old Granada Hills Residents Group is gonna look at this too. The Design Review Board is gonna be looking at this, and so is Neighborhood Watch. So we have a whole lot, and I'm sure the Chamber, you know, we have a whole lot of entities that are looking at this. And the idea is to get everybody on some kind of a page, some kind of agreement that we can come up with recommendations. So there's nothing that we need to do as far as the position is concerned. My only issue right now is that we really get serious about this as a committee
Yeah, but
and start taking it apart.
One of the problems, I saw we had a long time ago was the landlords. You own a commercial building and you're looking to fill your building. You don't say anything to them because a lot of times landlords don't even look at the specific plans. They don't look at
But
what is permitted. You rent the building out to, or the storefront out, and you let them go in, they decorate, they spend thousands of dollars opening up their business, and then you hit them at the last minute. I think that's unfair because if they know in advance, well, I can't do that here, I can't be here.
But ignorance does not grant you immunity from the law.
Yeah, but what I'm saying,
You know?
you're absolutely right about that, but what
They
I'm
need to
saying
know
is
this.
a lot of times the landlords are the ones who are drawing them in because they get paid no matter what. You put up your money, oh, I'm not giving you a rebate or anything like that. But they spend thousands of dollars opening up their business, not knowing that there's going to be a problem. The landlord, he's sitting there, what me worry? I didn't. That to me, I don't know. It makes me feel like sometimes we're complicit in the landlord's greed because he wasn't forthcoming with them saying, well, we have a problem, and I don't know how we would.
Well, you know what, okay, there is a specific plan, there's specific guidelines. It's just like any kind of property you buy, you go into, let's say,
But what I'm thinking of,
You
is
need
there
to-
any way we can let the landlords, mail something out to the landlord saying, you know, in this area, these are prohibited uses. So he cannot say after the fact, oh, I didn't know anything about that.
That's something I'd actually suggested for, but Mr. Kuzman had a comment.
It was right along that lines. I guess with the situation, what has to happen is, as a neighborhood council, a business that's considering moving in and renting a commercial space within the jurisdiction should be able to come here, and then from here we have to their business representative and say, hey, look, I want to do this business here, but I don't know whether it's allowed in the specific plan. In other words, reaching the landlords and say, hey, we know that these things are prohibitive uses in this area, so when you're considering renting your space out. But again, this could be once you get something formalized that can be,
Yeah.
again, this is something that as a realtor, you have to be careful, because if you pick somebody in particular because they got an illegal use, you're targeting. But if you do it as a mass mail or as a general information, the landlords, I think, would appreciate it.
Sometimes,
because well, again, Eric, they would, because quite often they just don't
I know
know.
an example of which I had a hard time. The property right on the corner of Louise and Chatsworth Street, that big vacant lot,
Mhm.
right there where automotive. I've talked to
Wait,
those
Louise and Chatsworth? You're talking Encino?
I'm sorry, Encino and Chatsworth on the southeast corner where the automotive coming in. I've known those guys for 8, 9 years. They know what business can't, but for 3 years for 3 times. And I went up to him, I said, guys, you know you can't put this business in here. Oh, well, we don't know anything. I didn't know what he was going. I said, it's a heavy equipment company. I said, you know you cannot bring that in here. And the company, and I got to know the people who own those companies. They were really nice people. They were blindsided themselves. They said, we never would have rented here if we had known that there was a problem here.
We've had it on a few occasions, and I suggested before that, although it could be controversial, to send out letters to the landlords and say, here's what is and isn't allowed.
Yeah.
But keep in mind, we're decidedly taking the side of business and of the tenants, because we're basically setting up the landlords to be sued for
Sorry, I'm
leasing
in a
to a
meeting. I'll have
business
to call you
knowing
back.
full well that they were not legal. And now, that would probably have a very good effect at stopping this practice, which I think
The
is
word
wrong,
gets spread
because,
from
I mean,
happening.
I'm the business rep. So I'm on the side of, let's give the businesses an advantage. Bonnie's the commercial property owner's rep, so she's gonna take a different position on it. We'd have to tease that out if we did that, but we'd be decidedly taking a position adverse to the commercial property owners. Some of them might appreciate knowing, but I think a lot of them don't wanna know, and wouldn't
You're
wanna
right,
be officially
yeah.
noticed by a council of the city of Los Angeles. Is it our job?
I think it was I don't know if it still goes, but 5 years ago when everything was down, the businesses were closing up along Chatsworth Street. You had nobody, opening up anything. And what happened is a lot of commercial property owners got desperate. I don't think the same desperation exists today that it did 5 years ago when all of that was down. I hope that now that everything, the economy has gotten a lot better, you can get the kind of tenants in there that would actually help your business, help the commercial property owners, as well as their tenants who would come in, because I'd like to see people who move in where everybody is win-win. The commercial property owners, the tenants, whatever, yes.
Yeah,
Okay,
I-
but you know what,
I
right,
agree. Oh, sorry.
This kind of brings me back to a suggestion I've made before, which is a very good way to deliver the message without delivering the message in a way that anybody could take offense to. We have a lot of stuff that, and my first thing is the specific plan. Put a link to the specific plan on the Planning and Land Use Committee page of the website. Spell out, maybe write a little article to put on that page. These are what's allowed and what isn't allowed under the current plan. These are the things that are proposed to be allowed or not allowed under the current plan. And then when somebody has a question, all you have to do is, hey, check out the Planning and Land Use Committee page on the Neighborhood Council website. We've already reviewed all of that and put it out there so people can find out. And then at the same token, I know the Outreach Committee has not been able to achieve it yet, but there's a sincere, concerted effort to get a newsletter going for the Neighborhood Council. So hopefully now we can have articles from different committees that once we get all those commercial owners' email addresses and business owner email addresses, we email them our newsletter and they get to find out that way. A very non-generic, non-threatening dissemination of public important community information.
That would work.
So I'd really like to see a link to the community plan get up there.
Think
On-
about it, we're still waiting for all that. The specific plan and community plan, we've been waiting.
No,
for
I
like
mean
10
the
years.
proposed
Yeah.
plans is what
Yeah.
I'm saying. Because if we're going to talk about the proposed specific plan, having it up there and available, and again, saying what it's for and what it's about, I think would be very helpful.
Well, I'd almost.
And maybe we could get some of those people in to
Well,
participate
I'd
too.
almost rather, instead of the proposal, I'd rather wait until it becomes
But
an
we-
actual plan.
But you
because-
wanna make the
or if you said
input.
Proposed, and then it doesn't, then all of a sudden everything changes.
it's still information available.
Yeah, I
It helps
agree,
people
I
out,
agree.
And I wanna be mindful of the time here.
Yeah.
We're-
Okay,
we're like
all
on
right,
the
so
second
let's,
half. Do we
okay,
have
so,
any, do we have
okay,
any
so, okay,
position to take
here's,
on this?
here's what I would like the committee members to do. By the next meeting, I would like every committee member here to review the current specific plan. And a long time ago, Jerry, you and I went through uses many, many years ago.
Fact, I've got this specific plan right
Yeah.
here.
That was years ago. The South Council already presented those suggestions.
Yes.
Nowhere do I see anywhere that those suggestions were taken seriously. I think we need to re-up those, bring them up for discussion, take a look at the specific plan, look at buffer zones, look at everything else, height, all that kind
Realize
of
this will
thing.
be the third time we bring up that.
Don't- You know what? Okay.
Yeah.
But it will have a new date on it, it will have more information, because, you know, the city now is taking so long. Now we're gonna really have some time to look at the specific plan, and we're gonna come up with something substantial. That
Are we
really
gonna
is
have another
meaningful.
meeting at the planning department?
We could do.
Okay.
Basically, okay, let's just start right now. Everybody on this committee takes a look at the specific plan, come back to the next meeting with some recommendations and some ideas. Let's hash through them, and then let's take them to LAPD. Let's take them to the design review board, because I already let the design review board know we need to have some input as well. And let's kind of get this ball rolling. We have time,
Okay,
okay? Let's do it.
all right.
No other action, thank you.
We move on, and our next item is being postponed to January 28th. at the
Okay, again,
request of
because they are not
Synergy.
ready?
They're not, they don't have the renderings, the new renderings yet.
Jerry, did they say anything about locating or?
Oh, did we just,
Trying to find
we just
another
went to D?
No, we're on 3C, actually.
It's
Still
been
on.
postponed.
Yeah, they're just, that one, Synergy requested that we postpone that to the following meeting, so I made the. notation in the agenda.
3C, okay.
Okay, on the new business.
All right, so, why don't you, Maria, this was yours, and let's stay focused so we can move
Okay.
along.
All right. White Oak, Chatsworth Street improvements, the bid has started construction already at the corner of White Oak and Chatsworth. My concern is about the deodar trees, and did anybody and who ever gave them guidance as to preservation, because these are historic cultural monuments.
Yeah.
Serious concern.
I read your emails to the city when you asked the people about the destruction of the deodar trees, the condition that they're in right now, and I have to think that some of this has something to do with the drought conditions.
Oh,
we're having.
absolutely.
And, but I was also very concerned about your email when whoever is taking care of the trees by the city, looks like they're using an axe when they should be using something a lot easier.
Well, you know, the trees haven't been trimmed in a long time.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of care issues going on, so I did write I've been in constant communication with the Urban Forestry Division as well as CD12. We are getting a little bit of movement here and there, but right now, in addition to those concerns, Old Granada Hills Residents Group is really taking up that piece.
Okay.
But also, I like to bring it to the committee's attention that the residents group is taking up that piece. But furthermore, there's new construction going on at the corner.
Oh,
So
yeah.
what I wanna know is who and where, did anybody ever take a look at those deodar trees and see what's going on? Because they dug down like 2 to 3 feet. My husband and I just so happened to be, it was just coincidental. There was a root about that big around that they were digging under and around. They went down really deep. Now, I don't know if they ever went in there and cut that root. That root must have been 11 inches in diameter at least. It's a huge root. So, I'm sure that
Well,
that.
and I've seen the bill, but how far is it off from the sidewalks? It looks like it's at least 20 feet from, where the structure of the building is.
The building, they're building like walls.
Yeah.
It's right between the 2 trees, so it's right at their root structure.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, take a look. So anyway.
Mr. Guzman had a.
I recall from the presentation that BID did on the project that it was mentioned that the work that be done around the deodar trees was being done by a qualified arborist who knew exactly what and how it should be done in the project. Now, I would just suggest at this point, the easiest and fastest way to clear it up is to send a letter to Brian Miller and ask him.
Okay,
Yeah.
Email.
Yeah.
Well,
Because he'll tell you right away, because
Yeah,
I
who-
think,
who
I
was the-
seem
who
to
was the-
recall
yeah,
him
who
mentioning
was the-
that.
Yeah, all I wanna know, did an arborist do it and who it was? That's it.